News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by. On the morning shift.
Anything
could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
All right, and good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh, and I'm your host of Sudbury News Talk, where we share our news, our views on the news here locally and abroad. Great to be here with you. Glad that you are with us this morning. Thanks for being with us. Our community of listeners and watchers is continually growing, and we're grateful for all of you, whether you're from Greater Sudbury or surrounding area or broader area in the world. As I check the analytics, we have a lot of people joining us from various countries in the world, which blows my mind. And so I hope that you're having a great day today, no matter where you are. Here, it's we'll get into the weather, but it's snowing, so it's not something that I like to be talking about, especially this time of year. We got through a long winter with a lot of snow, and we thought we were done with it, but no, we are not. It's still here. And so we're live on CKLU 96.7 FM on the radio. CKLU is your campus and community radio station, been around since 1984. And if you want to support CKLU, just go to cklu.ca. You just click the donate button and you will be able to support us, because we do rely on community support, your support, in order to keep the lights on, keep the airwaves open, and keep shows like this live on the air. Or maybe some of you wouldn't want to donate just so that way shows like this couldn't be on the air. But there's a lot of other great shows out there that you can, just look at the schedule and you can see there's shows for everybody. And a lot of views different from ours, which is great, because you get an eclectic mix of different people's views. So you can listen to us, stream us on cklu.ca. Click on the Radio Player Canada streams. You can also download the Radio Player Canada app and take us with you anytime and listen to us anywhere on your favorite device. And we're streaming on youtube.com/Sudbury News, facebook.com/Sudbury News. We're thankful for those platforms. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do a show like this and bring it to as many people and have as many people commenting and having a conversation around the news and the views that we have, and then we share them one with another as we try to unpack this very complicated city, province, country, and world together as we go through the various news to allow us to do that. So we share news, weather, sports as it pertains to local here, but then the news sometimes we'll do a deeper dive into issues that affect pretty much everybody in the world. If they affect us, there's a good chance they'll affect you no matter where you are in England, the Philippines, Australia, South America, Africa. That's right. I've named some countries and then I've named some continents. I realize that. So I appreciate you no matter where you're at in the world, and thanks for those that are joining us. And speaking of those that are joining us this morning, we have our guest host on Tuesdays. Billy's with us in the studio. How are you doing today, Billy?
I'm doing good, thanks.
This
rain is screwing up my internet, I think.
Okay.
I mentioned you look like a character in Minecraft still. So
I'm a Minecraft character.
Puts a surreal kind of spin. I feel even more like I'm in a video game now.
Oh, for sure. The good thing is that on this end, and hopefully for those viewing at home or on their favorite device, it's not pixelated, because it doesn't look pixelated on my end. Everything looks clear. So, yeah, I guess. And is it raining currently there, Billy? Because it's snowing in Espanola.
I just assumed it was raining, but it's possibly snowing.
If you look out the window to your right,
it did look like a chunky rain actually earlier this morning. So I guess that would qualify as snow.
If you look out the window to the right, do you see like white things coming down at all? Out the window?
I don't see anything. I see a gray sky. So.
Okay, so it's not snowing yet there. Okay, so well, it is what it is. It says light rain, so there you go. So yeah, we'll talk about the weather, sports, all kinds of stuff going on. And with that, I'd like to welcome those that are on already. Randy is the first one this morning. Good morning. Glad that you're up with us. Hope you're having a good morning as well. Good morning from Belinda. Good morning, everybody. Having hang tight. The sun will eventually shine. That is true. We'll talk about that this morning. Good morning, Denise. Everyone, hope you're having a great morning. Good morning from David. Stay safe as usual, and definitely today, as it's a little slick out there. Monique, good morning. Good morning, everyone. And yes, good morning. Thanks for being with us. It's always a great day to just begin with everybody just, saying good morning. It's such a simple thing, but it goes a long way for being positive and starting the day on the right foot. Even Steven's chiming in this morning. Bear in mind that our followers are a bit privacy minded. And as Pierre was describing, users of VPNs, which would mean that many of the foreign watchers that you perceive are looking like they're watching from Netherlands, really are just VPN, good old suds. You give a good point there, Pierre, but I mean Stephen, on Pierre's point, and that is true for some. We do have people though that have also messaged me saying they watch from those countries as well. So I think it's a mixture, but yeah, you're right. VPNs for sure, which, so it's not always exactly as it seems, right? And that's why we have these discussions. So thanks for that. Appreciate it. Hope you're having a great morning too, Stephen. And let's dive right in with some weather, and we'll be back with some sports, and then we'll, take it from there with some news headlines. Lots of stuff to talk about. The CRA still on strike. They did apprehend the 16-year-old that was involved in the shooting on, at Overtime Sports Bar and Grill last weekend in Toronto. So we'll talk a little bit about that. EV vehicles, that'll be maybe a deep dive today. Are we ready for them? Are we going to be ready by 2030, 6.5 years from now, to be able to all be driving around in electric vehicles? Hard to say. We'll get your thoughts on that, and they are local news stories surrounding that. So that's where we'll kind of make our transition maybe into from local to a more deeper discussion. All right, let's get things started with a little bit of weather. We'll be back right after this. All right, and your weather brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. For all things Sudbury weather, visit SudburyWeather.ca. Currently, it is 1 degree and light rain out there, according to Environment Canada. Periods of rain today. Rain at times mixed with snow early this morning, and high of 8 tonight. Showers. Wind becoming 30 kilometers after midnight. The low +5, and then Wednesday showers ending in the morning. Then, as Belinda was referring to, a mix of sun and cloud with a 40% chance of showers, just thrown in. UV index will be 6 or high, and the high of temperature-wise will be 12. So 12 degrees tomorrow, 40% chance of showers. Thursday, chance of showers, 12. And Friday, mix of sun and cloud, high of 15. Saturday, mix of sun and cloud, high of 19. Sunday, mix of sun and cloud, high of 20. So we're getting warmer and warmer as the days are going on, and the sun is predicted to come out and play for a while. So Monday, 20 degrees, mix of sun and cloud for your Monday as well. So if we can get through these next couple of days, we've got some nice weather in the forecast. Let's hope that it's actually going to happen. And look at your satellite. Let's see here, May 2nd, 12:30 a.m. is when this satellite image was taken. A lot of activity over northern Ontario, as we can just see as we look out our windows. And that is your Sudbury weather, brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. We'll be back. A little bit of the sports report and news headlines, your comments, and more right after this. Sudbury Sports, brought to you by Randy Pascal. He's that Sudbury Sports guy, and SudburySports.com is his website for all things Sudbury Sports. You just visit SudburySports.com. It's all there. And if you need more than what Randy is reporting on, which would be the other great sports reporters, you go to SudburySports.ca. So SudburySports.com will give you Randy's exclusive reporting, which is like he's a sports reporting phenom. He reports on all things sports, so from all the schools all the way up to, high school, varsity, every kind of sport, amateur, professional. Anyways, he's got everything covered, and you just go there. But again, he just leaves, the Sudbury Wolves, the Sudbury Five, to other reporters in the city because he knows that's covered mainly. So he kind of does all the other sports around it, although he does do news stories related to those teams as well. And then on SudburySports.ca, it lands on our Sudbury.news website, and that's an aggregator for all the local sports stories there. So you can just visit that for more. Joe Bowen, Jim Ralph will hit the road for Leaf broadcasts. This was during the pandemic. They had to just stay in a studio in Toronto and watch it on TV, and then do the radio broadcast through, just like you and I would watch it on TV, and he would then just do the play-by-play. Now, there was a mix-up with the last game. I guess people thought it was it Riley who got the goal instead of John Tavares? And there was a bit of a mix-up there, and so fans were upset that Joe Bowen and Jim Ralph were not traveling with the team. Joe Bowen, a Hockey Hall of Fame broadcaster from Sudbury, got his start here in Sudbury with the Sudbury Wolves, and then went on to the East Coast, and then later the Toronto Maple Leafs. We've known him for his Holy Mackinac whenever somebody scores. That's his coined phrase. So Joe Bowen will be doing the games on the radio, and that'll be exciting for him, at least, to travel with the team. And then the Sudbury Five are in town for their final home stand here in town. And so let's just chime in.
What's up,
Ben.
Five fans? The Kings of the Underground are back in Sudbury for their final regular season home game of 2023 against the London Lightning tomorrow night at 7 p.m. The game is proudly sponsored by the YMCA, who will be here at the arena with great prizes for lucky fans. The Five are celebrating high school night. Any secondary school student can get into the game for just $10 with a valid student ID at the Sudbury Arena box office. Tomorrow's game also marks the final time that 2023 Sudbury Five vouchers can be redeemed for tickets this season. Tickets for tomorrow's matchup with the Lightning are on sale now, so head to greatersudbury.ca/tickets or the Sudbury Arena box office to secure your seats and back the boys.
Now, that video was made yesterday, so he was saying tomorrow night, but in fact, the game is tonight at this Friday. No, tomorrow night. Tonight, Tuesday. Holy cow. So, Billy, the game is tonight, right? You are scheduled to be there.
I can confirm that is.
You can confirm that it is tonight. So
tonight at 7.
Tonight at 7. And is it going to be an exciting night, do you think? Like the final regular season game?
Oh, you can count on it. I'm sure it is.
And the volume is going to be at what kind of capacity?
I think it's a very high capacity crowd tonight. Last home game. Don't they have is there first place riding on this?
There is. It's a special game. The London Lightning are in town, and right now I think they're half a game behind the London Lightning. So if we win, then we're in first place going into the playoffs.
Well, that's got all the elements to make an exciting game.
It does. Get out and support your Sudbury Five. You can get tickets at Greater Sudbury greatersudbury.ca/tickets, greatersudbury.com/tickets. Yeah, I don't have the information up in front of me, but they just said it on the video, so hopefully we were paying attention. Or you just go in and get your tickets, right? You just go and stand in line, old school, get your tickets.
Yeah.
And you just go to Google, you go Sudbury 5 tickets, and you'll definitely be able to get them that way. And we'll be back with news headlines. That was your Sudbury Sports, brought to you by SudburySports.com. We'll be back with news headlines, everyone's comments, Billy's insights into our world today, and much, much more right after this. Okay, and we're back, and we're just getting into it today. I don't know. I forgot my glasses this morning. It feels weird. It's the first show I've done without my glasses.
Okay. This is going to be weird. I'd help you out like I normally do, but my screen feels like I'm not wearing glasses either.
So I don't have glasses, and you got a pixelated screen. Let's see how we can get through this. I think we'll do fine, since my glasses aren't really prescription anyways. So good morning, Tracy. Good morning, everyone, with a smiley emoji. Always good. I love emojis for that. They just set the tone so well. Yeah, let's just dive right into the stories that we share on our Facebook page, beginning with the first one shared this morning, 1 hour ago from CBC. Ontario Auditor General loses appeal to gain access to privileged information. This is CBC News again, reporting this. In a decision on Monday, the appeal judges agreed Ontario's Auditor General Act does not explicitly say the Auditor General can have access to privileged information, such as emails between a lawyer and their client. And that's speaking about
seems about right, I think.
The Laurentian University insolvency and her audit on that particular situation. Good morning, Diane. Thanks for being with us. Good morning, Aaron and Billy. Bon matin, everyone. So that's an interesting one because Franz Jelena and Jamie West are, behind a bill that they're proposing to make it so that way governments can have access to this information, but they say that it's set a precedent now that, that someone who's trying to do the audit, the Auditor General, won't be entitled to some of this information. So now there's a precedent, a legal precedent, because the judge...
Oh, it wasn't always that case?
No. They were making a case to get these, but the judge ruled according to, like judges do, according to the laws, their interpretation of the law, whether or not they can get this information or not. So she claims she wasn't able to do a proper audit based on she only got things from Laurentian University that were kind of handpicked, chosen, and certain information was given, certain wasn't. So she had to do her report, so it wasn't as concise as she would like it to be.
Yeah, it's one of those tricky things where probably like in a case like this, you'd go, well, it makes sense that they should be able to see, but that precedent, how all of these things are almost being weaponized these days. And we talk about, then the next people are getting power, and then it becomes a tool to get around getting a warrant. You can use this mechanism to, do things you're really not supposed to do.
Yeah, like, again, there's some people that would feel that, we on this show have a strong bias. And I guess everyone has a bias, and you can't get around that. And I'm
totally
transparent with where mine might be coming with. However, but if you look, I'm more for truth rather than a political leaning person. I won't jump off a cliff if my, the leader of a political party, let's say that I have more leanings to, is telling me to do. I'm not going to jump off a cliff if they tell me to do that. And case in point, George Bush. I remember back in the day, I was all for George Bush being, elected. And but then finding out that he did some very terrible things in terms of human rights and things that set a precedent for what the government now can do today. And that was his response to the terrorist attacks on 9/11, and then introducing what was called the Patriot Act. I knew right away. I was like, "Uh-oh." Like this gets rid of habeas corpus, innocent till proven guilty. It just, if they deem you a terrorist and think that you might be involved in terrorism, they can detain you for as long as they want without trial. And they set up Gitmo, Guantanamo Bay, and all these things. And that was done by a political party that I was actually rooting
Just
for.
done like overnight like that, and nobody really said boo. And it's like, wow,
Yeah.
the whole idea of the states flipped upside down one night,
Overnight.
and nobody's going.
Overnight, it was
Wait a-
changed.
Can we talk about this?
Everything that I stand for, everything that I was whatever. And I called right
You're
away. I was like,
unionized if you did, yeah.
this guy is not the real deal. He's not standing for the principles that I agree with, even though maybe he's a sheep in wolf's clothing, or a wolf in sheep's clothing. Thank you. So it's not just because that political affiliation, I just go along with everything blindly. If they're not standing for the principles that I stand for in the first place, right away, So anyways, I just wanted to say that because it's been on my mind quite a bit, because a lot of people bring in the whole political thing. Oh, yeah, but what would the liberals do, or what would the conservatives? I could care less if you're blue, red, purple, yellow as political leanings. If it's not going with the principles I stand for, I'm not going to go along with it.
And where they are on the spectrum, everybody seems to flip around every generation or so. It's like, what was, the ideals to the liberals, like, 20 years ago, it was very sort of anti-authoritarian, free speech, very against government collusion with corporations. And now it's kind of people who are sort of pulling in that direction tend to be more from what would be the conservative leaning. So it's
it's really kind of changed.
you gotta always got to be checking the temperature and sort of moving yourself on. You can't just kind of stick to where the label is.
And you and I both know there's many alternative media people out there that have talk shows and whatever, who were very liberal, left leaning, they would say, but as soon as they saw the things going on, just like myself with the George Bush example, you then go, wait a minute here, this is bigger than politics. This isn't right. It's not principle based, it's party based, and parties can be hijacked for other nefarious purposes. And if you just go with the herd mentality and go along with everything, that's what I think what they're hoping for is that particular thing, right? So it's
yeah, totally. And I think they we talk about the kind of the Ash conformity effect, where line B is longer, and if they just keep repeating that enough, and there's a tendency to kind of stick to that, because there's a penalty to pay if you say the other one.
And that's, you're referring to the experiment where they have two lines that are equally long, and they're side by each, maybe a different color.
One is clearly longer than the other.
Okay.
And what they've done is they'll do it in private, where people say, okay, yeah, line A is longer than line B.
Okay.
But then they'll also have the room, they'll have one person, and they're all in on the experiment as it goes around the room till it gets to you. And you're the actual only subject of the experiment. And they say, put their hand up and they say, line B is longer, line B is longer. And then they look at you and they say, what do you think? Now you've got this sort of dilemma. It's like, I'm pretty sure line A is longer.
but I can't say.
When you say line B, and they all say yes, and they clap.
So you just say the wrong thing because everyone else said it too. You might as well just go along with everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that effect is very pervasive in society too.
For sure.
Kind of utilize the media to, you'd be.
Yeah. And if you say something long enough and loud enough, consistently, eventually it just gets accepted. So I was referring to an experiment though, where they show two equally long lines. Maybe they're different colors though. And they're like, one is longer than the other or something. And then they kind of tell you the left is longer than the right. And then you just see that. Like, it's just like, because they're telling it. So it's a little bit, it's a little lighter, a subtler of a experiment, showing a similar thing in a different way with a little bit of coercing. You agree that line's longer, but in the end, they're both exactly the same size.
Yeah.
Length.
It's like those great sort of auditory illusions where if you look at a word and then you hear it, you see that word. But if you look at a different word and you hear the same sound bite, it sounds just like that word, and you can't, your mind doesn't want to, it goes to one or the other depending on what you're suggested.
And then there's also that where you get, a sentence that all the vowels are taken out or whatever, and your brain automatically fills in what's missing, and you could read it no problem. And so I think our brains do that too. Our brains are automatically just filling in things, and people could be taking advantage of that as well, like in media, let's say, because they say certain things and your brain just fills in the rest with, stuff that they've kind of already influenced you to fill it in with, even if they don't say it. So that's that way people come out and say there's spin. No, there's no spin, or whatever. But they're just using all of these
even
tactics.
Not spin. You could just say it's marketing 101. Like it's very. This is a lot of the techniques of marketing, right? So they could easily be applied to information too.
Exactly. Good morning, Judy. Thanks for being with us this morning. Hope you're having a wonderful morning. Also, so Monique agrees 100%. Belinda, that's why freedom of speech is important, to listen to other sources and make an informed decision. Amen. Hallelujah to that one. Let's see here. Stephen's got a bit of a, Lysick says that in her previous work as auditor, the standard was that files would be given and then examined for privilege, whereas now, in this situation, they would let the Auditor General office examine the first for privilege. She says this seems to indicate that there is something there to be seen. Okay, got it.
Okay, so this is something new that they're.
Well, this is also
changing.
An appeal. This is an appeal sent to an appeals judge, because the decision was originally made, no, you can't see this information. And then the Auditor General went, okay, well, I'm going to appeal this. And the appeal judge went along with the original, said, no, you can't. It's privileged information. However, this is what my problem is. So privileged information from a public institution that gets government money and private donations, you would think they would have a different standard for something like that needs to be more transparent, and it wouldn't fall under that particular, the guises of that. It would be, you'd have to release it because you're basically, you get your money from a public source, most of it, and you need to be accountable for that. So that's like where the privilege goes. Anyways, so that's just my opinion, that's my opinion. So there you go. Another on the whole Republican Democrat thing, or left-right flipping generations, like how in the 70s there was All in the Family with Republican parents and hippie kids. Exactly. Then Family Ties in the 80s with, Alex Keaton, who was the young Republican, and the parents. Very good example, Stephen. That's exactly right. Yeah, how things have changed. Okay, they have no gut feeling anymore. Yeah, for sure. Oh, a lot of people don't really go with their gut. And that's an interesting topic. That's a really big deep dive, is the whole the gut is your second brain kind of thing. And there's
Yeah.
been a war on your gut for many years in the foods that you eat, the ingredients that basically take away what's called gut flora and the natural bacteria that lives in your gut. And there's been, all the foods that we eat are not good for that at all. And take away that whole concept of your gut being healthy and being able to go with your gut. It's a deep dive. It sounds weird just saying it on the surface. However, there's a lot of truth to it. So anyways, that's going on with Laurentian University. We're not going to see how accountable maybe Dominic Giroux was in the whole insolvency if some of these other documents would have been released with the back and forth with the people involved here, right? So we're not going to see exactly. So it's apparently privileged because they were CCing the lawyers on all their emails. Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought as well. And then the lawyer confidentiality thing basically comes into effect, but shared with lawyers conversations are suddenly privileged. Exactly. I guess it's just a way around things. Look, this is the thing. If you're at a high level and you got friends, I'm just making an assumption here, Billy. You can even correct me on this. If you have high level friends and that's your kind of network and you do something where you're going to get your hand slapped, sometimes high level friends will cover for other ones and then find loopholes and things in laws to make it so that way you don't have to get your hand slapped. Am I out on a limb on this one?
Well, I would extend that to low level as well too. I say that's a human characteristic.
Appreciate that. Okay, yeah, you're right. It is. It all comes down to human tendencies for sure. Whether you're high or low, it just gives you more power, I guess. The higher you are, with the more resources you have. But you're right. It happens in every class.
The higher
at every
you go,
level.
you're supposed to have
True.
more, responsibility, and that's
exactly. That's what we would hope for.
Mm-hmm.
Now, speaking of that, Nickelbelt MP Mark said, in the news, bullying of healthcare workers has to stop. And then it has a picture of him kind of smiling, which doesn't go with the headline. But anyways, Nickelbelt MP Mark said, has strong words for people who feel it is their right to harass and bully healthcare workers, especially after their work during the pandemic. Did you have a chance to look into this story at all, Billy?
I did. For some reason, it didn't stick. I was thinking about it because, of course, that is terribly wrong to bully healthcare workers. And then in thinking about what is at the core of this, and I think there's a lot of, there is probably a lot of pent up anger over the past couple of years.
Yes.
And, and if I may do a throwback to that conformity experiment where, I think, it might be the equivalent of like we're told this line was longer and we're thinking, I don't know. And then after a couple of years go by, you see, what, that line was longer and there is this whole, affront that was sort of part of like why you were going along with line B scenario, and you should have maybe went with line A. You might, have some misdirected anger in the end.
For sure.
If that makes sense.
Well, I'm just wondering, could it be considered bullying that, someone's forced to take an experimental drug, let's say, and they utilize their body, their autonomy, over their own human bodies, and they don't go along with it, and then they're fired because they chose to go along with my body, my choice when it came to an experimental drug. For everybody was scrambling to understand what was going on, but they were told unless they went with this one solution, they couldn't keep their jobs. Wouldn't you consider that bullying? in the healthcare system is what we're talking about. They're the ones that
Yeah.
went through. They went through the
Yeah.
whole pandemic. They helped us. They risked their lives, not knowing what was going on around them. What was this virus all about? A lot of confusion in the world at the time as to. But they went to work each and every day, and then it came out where, okay, now we have a solution for this, and that was questionable at the time too. Well, how do we know the solution's going to work? But it was told, no, this is the only choice. You have to do this. This solution is the only one. Well, yeah, but what's that going to do to my body if I put it in? Who cares? It's safe. Put it in there. Everything's fine. Well, I don't know that. I don't want, okay, you're fired. Okay, so to me, that sounds like bullying. And just recently, there was a lady from Manitoulin Island. The video, you might have seen it. And she's talking about her mother in long-term health in Manitoulin Island, Little Current. And she's just beside herself doing a video. And she says her mom just told her that the attendants or PSWs came in the room and said, okay, now you got to get your fourth one. And she's like, well, no, I had 3 and I'm comfortable with that. I don't want any more. I'm fine. And then the lady went, well, okay then, and left the room and came in with 4 individuals, or there was multiple individuals. And they then proceeded to hold her down against her will and give her the 4th booster against her will.
Wow.
So, but that's not in the news. That happened last week. And so what about that? What would Mark Sette say about that? No, that's not his riding. That's somebody else's riding, who now is an independent. But that's provincial.
I think there's probably some legal recourse she could take on that. That definitely doesn't sound legal.
No, I wouldn't think that's legal. I don't know. Again, right? Like, is that right? Like, she has no place to go. She is a resident here in this long-term health facility. Maybe that's the policy of the facilities, that all of their residents have to be, fully up to date. Yeah. And they forced her to do that. So that sounds like, to me, if you're going to think bullying, what more could constitute bullying than something like that? I don't know. But that's where we've come to with all this stuff.
And that's like an unfortunate cycle. You can see like the blowback from that, to bring in another psychological thing, the prison guard experiment, when there's a certain people in charge, and they are given the authority to, have power for a while. And then if, that balance of power flips over and now they've been, assigned the other side gets in power.
Yep.
You can see, that cycle of bullying kind of continues, and you see those things. This is probably not applicable, but I just heard it and I really liked it. Although we're probably a ways off from this, but I still think it's something to aspire to. And it's this idea that, if you blame others, you haven't started your healing journey. If you blame yourself, you're on your way. If you blame no one, you've completed it.
So interesting. Like that, wow. I love that.
That's a deep, long, abstract, path to this whole thing. But, I still like the idea of like bringing down the temperature of the world,
For sure. Now I'm trying to get this video up and running because Dave here says, now I'm claiming that this is going on almost as if it didn't happen. So I just want to get the video of this lady just to show. In fact, now there's some expletives in this lady's story about what's going on with her mom. So I'll play it for so long, and then maybe I'll share the link if I can to this lady's explanation of what happened to her mom. But I guess there's some people who don't believe So it's not me. I'm not propagating lies here. This is what this lady said happened to her mom on Manitoulin Island. So we'll just watch this for a second here. We'll be right back.
Hi everyone. This is April 25th, 2023. I was having a conversation with my mom yesterday, and I was shocked, like literally shocked, to hear what she told me, what happened on Manitoulin Island while she was in the Little Current nursing home. Yes, I was shocked. She had already taken the 3rd dose for COVID.
My life was beautiful. I had a career I loved, supportive family, loyal friends.
This breaks my heart. From my own freaking home place of Manitoulin Island. For the fourth dose, she was telling me that they came into her room and said, you have to take the 4th dose. And she said, no, I'm not taking the fucking 4th one. I'm not. And then she tells me that they held her down and pulled out her arm and gave her the shot anyways.
So there you have it. I mean, I'll do my best to post it later in the, in the chat area, so that way people can see for themselves the full video. Now she says some more expletives. I don't want to, share that, but that was basically, that's all we need to know right there. That tells us, first of all, I'm not making this stuff up, and this is this lady's testimony over video that this is what happened to her mom, and that needs to be investigated.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Like, you never know. Maybe a judge says, "Oh no, that's perfectly right to happen in these kinds of times in a facility like that." We don't know, right? Like, that's the kind of world we live in. We don't even know if that will be looked as something against human rights or not, because that's where we've come. This is where we are today, right here in Manitoulin Island. But I'm still trying to hold back a little bit of tears here, just because I'm picturing, my father who just went along with it. He never refused. He was just like, give me whatever you got, because I'm afraid to get sick. And that's where he was. What's worse, bullying you in your mind to frighten you that you're going to die and you need to take it, or physically holding you down and putting it in your arm? Which is worse? Which isn't bullying? I think they're both bullying myself. Correct?
Yeah, one is substantially more criminal.
I would say, more blatant.
A lot of rules. Yeah, like
exactly.
When you say no, that's the difference. If you say no, then they're supposed to uphold that.
100%. So again, right, no matter what political side you're on, I'm not even on a political side, to tell you the truth. I'm on the side of this woman and her mom. Really, that's where it comes down to. You're a Canadian, you're a citizen, you're a person. Like, you should have some morals. Mm-hmm. And there should be some kind of standards that we all abide by. They should be called laws. Living in a law-abiding society made based on these types of things that we're supposed to be kind of watching over each other, and making sure nobody is taking advantage of each other. And if we do, then we're prosecuted for that through the law. That's the way our country is supposed to be set up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to just get rid of all this partisan stuff. All this, we put down Trudeau all the time, so whatever. Well, that's because he's in power. That's because he's the one making decisions, or at least he's the representative of the party. He's the spokesperson of them, and he's the one, he's the face of the party. Sometimes it's his own face. Sometimes he's dressing up with a different face. But either way, he's the face of the party. And so that's what ends up happening. But standing up for all of our basic human rights. And this is really where the rubber hits the road here with this example. This is what it leads to, ladies and gents. If you don't really stand up for principles, true principles, it'll end up like this. And one day they'll be coming in your house and holding you down against your will and putting who knows what it is, whatever they've decided at the time that's going to keep you safe. It's something you don't even know what it is.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people over the past few years have kind of entertained the idea of somebody horrible coming into power, right? If you want to talk about like the perception that's been sort of put out there about Trump, he's like literally Hitler. So if you imagine something like literally Hitler coming into power, now they've got this essentially this turnkey totalitarianism, all systems set up. It's a perfect little control grid. Oh, if I say this group is going to take this and they want to exterminate, there's some undesirables. All right, you guys got to take this, drink this Kool-Aid. There's no turning it down. So we always have to entertain that prison guard experiment. It's like, oh, what if the worst people get into power?
For sure. And now, Vin, this is another form of bullying, right? So the whole solution they had to put into a liquid to inject into us, they're now just putting it in the food. But I don't know. I don't have any evidence on that, Vin, but I've heard that as well. I've heard that. I don't have any, no way to back that up per se. But I know there was talks about doing that, putting it in our water, putting it in our food, so that way we're all protected. We're all safe.
Yeah. There's a lot of documentaries on that stuff, and I think there's something to it, and it might be a gradient too. I think in a lot of cases, and you've probably heard this with like fluoride over the years, where the idea was it's very expensive to put it in double sealed containers and bury it in the ground and do the proper, containment of it, because it was like a waste sort of byproduct of I forget what industry. But if you can find some kind of application for it,
for sure,
it takes out of that classification, and now it becomes like a food additive.
Definitely.
So you just got to get some scientists to find a couple, get a couple studies that show it can do something. And we all know how solid and uncorrupt our
for sure. And what are
officials?
Speaking of that, corrupt officials, what is your position on how the Ford government handled long-term care over the last little while with the decisions they made here in Ontario? Because your life was affected by that decision.
Mm.
And I'm talking about if you're in the hospital, you can't hang around the hospital. You got to just take whatever long-term care is available to you in Ontario, Northern Ontario. It could be as far as 150 kilometers away from where you live, and making it hard for family, friends to come visit you, and in a foreign environment, foreign city, this type of decision that Ford has made with long-term care.
Yeah, I don't want to say definitively, because I can see both sides have there's a huge ingestion problem, because I don't think our society is all that proactive on these issues. So I think there is a huge problem, and the fact that I don't think anyone's been actually fined that money. I can understand the idea of putting something out there to, it's kind of like, maybe a jaywalking rule or something, a rule that's not really, basically, look, if it gets to be a problem, we can use this.
That's right. And they said they were going to charge these people $600 a day or something if they're in the hospital, and that would force them to get out. Mm-hmm. And so it forced a lot of people, because they didn't want to pay $600 a day. But the ones that stayed, like you just alluded to, they did not end up charging them that money as of right now. But at the same time, that was a terrible
Yeah.
decision. But at the same time, like you said, there needed to be something, I guess, done. That it's in shambles. Our whole healthcare system,
Yeah.
we have to
Something's gotta
admit,
be
is in
done.
shambles.
And
Whether
I
it's
don't know the answer, but
no, whether it's in Ontario, anywhere in Canada, it's not. Like our socialized healthcare system, great experiment, a great idea on paper. We've now lived it for I don't know how many years, and just ask yourself, how do you think our healthcare system is, and what is wrong with it? Like, what is wrong with it? Like, kind of thing. And is
I
it
think
healthier?
it's great as long as you have a fiat currency system that is, you can keep borrowing and, type some more zeros into the computer,
Oh yeah.
add to the money supply. But, at a certain point, when that hits the exponential part of that curve, and you can't just keep doing that forever and get, just ridiculous hyperinflation.
Yeah.
You got to actually find a tenable system.
You can't keep throwing money at something and hope that it's going to work. If it's broken, you can throw as much money as you want at something, but if it's not the idea of how to fix the broken thing, it won't get fixed. You can throw as much money as you want at something, but if you don't have a plan and you don't have the ideas that are going to make it work, good luck with that one. And that's where we're at. And whether it's Ford or whether it's Trudeau or whether it's anybody, whether they're conservative or they're liberal or they're NDP or they're Green or they're PPC or they're all the other parties that have formed in the last couple of years, no matter what party they are, comes down to principles, not parties. Principles, not parties. And yes, no, I'm not a fan of the principle of sending your loved one 150 kilometers away from you. And then I'm not a fan of all the restrictions they made for our elderly. The original reasons why we locked everything down was to save our elderly. Our grandma. Think of your grandma. That's why you got to go along with all this stuff. And they were the ones who had the worst experience because of all those things than anyone else. They're the ones who suffered the most. They're the ones who passed away the most. They're the ones who, as this particular story alludes to on Manitoulin Island, that's the way, they're treated. They're already subjected to elder abuse allegations running rampant through the system before all of this happened. And it's only gotten worse. I'm just going to put it out there. That's my opinion. It's only gotten worse. So what was all that about? We talked yesterday about having an analysis. Like there was a risk assessment person that was part of the National Citizens Inquiry. It's an inquiry that's going on to assess how we handled the pandemic, how our leaders handled it and the policies they made and things. And if you really go back and look at that, there's a lot of wrong things we did and we could have done a lot better. And now look at the state of what we're in when we come out of that. We have to, if we go through this again, I'm hoping we've learned a lot of lessons. And according to Bill Gates, it's going to happen again. So Bill Gates and Joe Biden both said for sure you can expect another one very shortly. So we'll see if Bill Gates is a prophet. That's all the time we got, Billy. Sorry. I know.
Well,
you got the last word. You got the last word.
I don't know. I got nothing. I just have a good day, everybody.
Yeah. And we never had a chance to get through everything. We're going to be talking about electric vehicles today, I thought was going to be the deep dive, but Mark Sade with his bullying, and you shouldn't bully anybody. See, this is the thing. I'm not saying Mark Sade is wrong. You shouldn't bully your healthcare professional. Don't bully anybody. How about that? Don't that keeps all this stuff about, particular, all this, all these politics about, what's it called again? The whole diversity thing. Politics where it separates identity politics. Man, thank you, Billy. I appreciate that. All this stuff. How about just treat everyone the same? It's like a blanket. Treat everyone with respect, regardless of who you are or what you think. Treat everyone with respect. Protect each other's rights. Be kind. Love one another. It's pretty basic. It sounds simple, but that's what we got to do in our world, regardless of what political leanings you have. Let's join together. We all have the same common goals, and together we get it done. Divided, we don't. Thanks everyone for being with us today. Thanks for all your comments. We really appreciate it. And it was a great show today. Glad to be with you. Maybe next time we'll get through a little more of the headlines, but I think it was a good conversation nonetheless. appreciate you and appreciate the opportunity to be here in this discussion. Thanks, Billy. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good one, everyone. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. Ciao.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.